And thank you so much for your time this morning. The last time you and I spoke, it was a conversation about giving advice to motorists as they made their way to their different destinations for the holiday period. Based on what you've been seeing over the last few days, do you think that our motorists listened to the advice that you had to give them?
Good morning, Rafiwa. I am forever hopeful that people will take cognizance of all of the advice that we give them, particularly with regards to traveling conditions and reminders to obey all the rules of the road. We have been fortunate on the N3 toll route that in the past few days, we have not had any significant incidents that have disrupted the flow of traffic, and that status quo remains as is at present, despite the high volumes that we have. So, like I said, I'm hopeful that people are listening.
Right. And what, in terms of other trends, you speak about high traffic volumes that we did see. Were there any, you did say there weren't that many incidents, but those that were there, how serious were they and how much of an impact did they have on the traffic flow?
Well, any incident obviously is a serious incident, especially, considering that there are lives involved. But fortunately, as I just mentioned, none of the incidents that we've recorded in the past few days have been significant enough that they've disrupted the flow. We've always managed to at least maintain one lane open in every direction so that traffic could flow past the scene. Where we did have an incident that disrupted traffic flow significantly, it was as a result of weather, where trees had collapsed onto the highway and the road was closed while emergency services were attending to the scene. The trees needed to be cut and removed off the roadway so that it was safe for people to travel.
Thania, in your engagements with traffic officials, do you have a sense of the number of drinking and driving arrests that we would have seen on the roads in this particular period? And if so, what are those numbers looking like?
No, unfortunately, the statistics with regards to arrests, I don't have any information about. I do know that there are continuous compliance checks that are being carried out, though. So it's a reminder to road users to please continue to obey the rules and don't drink and drive. We want to make sure that everybody reaches the destination safely. But yeah, the numbers itself, unfortunately, I can't comment on.
All right. And then, Thania, let's talk a little bit about the biggest offences that motorists are making while they drive. We've spoken about drinking and driving, but what have some of the other big offences been that have been found in this period?
Well, from the information that I have available, one of the things that's been observed is particularly people who are speeding while driving. The excessive speed over the speed limits, it's a big problem, and particularly in the current weather conditions that we're having, where, wet and rainy conditions make the road surface possibly slippery, and also where visibility is reduced. It reduces people's reaction time, especially from a driver perspective, and that's a potential issue. And that's been one of the biggest problems that we've identified over this period.
And then just a final thought from you, Thania. Overall, looking at the festive period that we've had, are you confident that motorists are a little bit more aware of their behaviour and how it needs to change to make sure that their own lives and those of the motorists around them are as safe as can be? Are you seeing a positive change in this regard?
Well, we're definitely observing a change in behavior. It's not necessarily significant enough, considering that we have still recorded some incidents over this period. And as I mentioned, a single incident is one too many. But we're doing everything that we can in order to raise awareness of it through all of our social media platforms, through Twitter, on our Facebook page, and using Telegram, for example, and these channels to highlight the responsibility of the driver to ensure that both themselves, their passengers, and their fellow road users reach their destination safely. And, there's very simple things that they can do to ensure that everybody is safe. Things like ensuring that they're following the speed limits or reducing their speed limits if the weather conditions or the road conditions make it conducive to do so. Ensuring that they're maintaining a reasonable following distance and increasing it where necessary, always driving with the headlights on, and always making sure that the driver is well rested so that they can be vigilant and alert at all times. Especially right now with heavy traffic conditions expected northbound back towards Gauteng, Van Rynen's pass tends to be put under extreme pressure, and particularly where you're dealing with speed differentials between heavy motor vehicles and light motor vehicles, that's a potentially dangerous driving conditions being created there. And law enforcement are monitoring the situation and will be implementing traffic flow measures if necessary. But again, road users need to make sure that they remain calm and patient and alert, and that they adjust to the situation. It's always important to be aware of what's happening, to plan ahead, and as I mentioned, once again, please follow us on Twitter at N3Route, because the latest updates about the route are posted on our channels, and we'll ensure that motorists have that information available so that they can adjust accordingly.
Thania Dhoogra, thank you very much for joining us this morning. She's the operational manager for the N3 toll concession. Just giving us a sense on driver behavior during the festive season.